almost, or I did reach on several occasions the state of nirvana, which is what, enlightenment, or what? I mean, that you got out of your body, or what? What does nirvana mean? And what does he mean by that? What did he mean by that?
What is nirvana? When you talk about nirvana, I don't want you to think of it as if it's some otherworldly transcendental state. That's not what we mean by nirvana. When we talk about nirvana, we're just talking about at the level of your experience, when you're living in communion with your own true nature. Then we say that you're in a state of nirvana. Now, there are different kinds of so-called nirvana. In yoga, there are different kinds of liberation. One which is known as Jivanmukti. Jivanmukti means living liberation. When you're living in the body, you're living in the mind, yet at the level of your consciousness you've moved beyond the body, beyond the mind. Yet you're still hanging on to the body and the mind. And this is known as Jivanmukta, living liberation. Now there's another kind of so-called liberation, which I don't consider too much importance, which is called Videhamukti, liberation beyond the body. When your energies, the mind and the body, the energies of the mind and body, come to such a state where beyond death they simply merge into the infinite, then that's known as Videhamukti, liberation beyond the body.
When you say, well, you control your mind, but your body you cannot control, which is true, because whatever experience is
I never
whatever.
said that. I never said
well,
the body
I don't know
cannot
how you
control.
said it a while ago. Is whatever experience, it's like how we perceive it. But as far as our body, we inherited and stuff like that. We inherit our body, if I'm not mistaken. That's
We
what
inherited the programming of the body, but that doesn't mean you have to be ruled by the programming of the body. These are two distinctions we have to make.
But like certain things that you have, you cannot influence it.
Yeah, for example, you're born as a man.
Yeah.
You cannot become a
That's
woman.
right, that's right.
Of course, you can
That's right.
undergo sex, you
That's
can
right.
have surgery, you can
yeah.
have a woman, but
Yeah.
fundamentally, your body is intended to be the body of a man.
Yeah.
That's how nature created you.
And let's say I get afflicted with a certain type of disease, incurable disease, or that science cannot cure. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. I can have a different perspective of how I'm going to live my illness. But other than that, I cannot cure that disease.
Yeah, but you find even if, let's say, the body is inflicted with a very severe disease, but at the level of your consciousness, you're no longer bounded by the body, then it really makes no difference for you. I think I told you once the story of Ramana Maharishi, the last few years of his life. Did I ever tell you about it? The last few years of his life, Ramana Maharishi, he's a very well-known sage, you should look into him. Really astounding life he lived. Very simple man. So he lived in India, and during the last few years of his life, he had cancer, and his body was so weak and so drained of energy, when he was walking, he could even barely keep his head erect. He had to walk like this. Wherever he goes, he's walking like this. And even though his physical body was in great pain, still he was going around doing very ordinary things, preparing food in the kitchen, taking care of the gardens, as if nothing, as if he was totally healthy. But the body was in great pain. So his disciples, seeing this, asked him, how can you tolerate this? We see what a torture the body has become for you. Why isn't you just don't want to die and just get rid of this misery? Then Ramana Maharishi, he just simply looked at them and he smiled and he said, you give too much importance to the body. The physical body was suffering, but at the level of his consciousness, he still remained totally balanced, totally centered, with total clarity of perception. The body can be in a certain way. That doesn't mean that in your experience you have to be ruled by it. It all has to do with just one thing. It's very simple. Whether you're able to remain a witness as to whatever's happening in your experience without becoming identified. If you can remain just a space of pure awareness, just simply observing, not even making an effort to observe, choicelessly, you're just choicelessly observing, then whatever's happening at the level of the body, whatever's happening at the level of the mind, it's okay, you still remain the master within yourself. So this is why the whole science of yoga was intended to bring this experience direct, not as an idea, not as a philosophy, but as a direct experience of I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. So if you live in the body, if you live in the mind, and yet you're in communion with a dimension within you which is beyond the body, beyond the mind, then whatever happens in your mind and body, it's okay.